Hello, hello, just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. I've ditched my mic today because it has betrayed me far too many times and I don't know why I haven't just disconnected it before. So the sound won't be as good as it is when my mic actually behaves itself, but it will be better than me trying to edit around the nonsense my mic creates. Without further ado, Smoulder cosmic brushes. Let's try her out. Let's do some swatches first, and then I'll talk a little bit about the palette, and then do one look on each eye, and then I think some sort of rough and ready comparisons of a few other neutral palettes that I own. Here are the swatches of the Smoulder palette from Cosmic Beauty / Cosmic Brushes, and this is in natural lighting, boosted a little bit by my ring light. In fact, let me open my blind a little bit just to see. See, that's quite a lot. I don't know, this might be good actually. That's pretty bright. So I've got the sun coming from here and my ring light is over here. But I think that gives you a good idea of the true colour. I will say, something I've noticed about Cosmic is that there was a spell where I felt the shadows were very dry, but I have to say that in this palette they didn't feel as dry. My favourite shades, what would I say here? It's going to be the duo / multis, so Embers, which is this shade right here, so that's the third shade down at the top there, and then Ignite, which I knew I would, and that's Ignite here. Also showing you what the palette looks like in an attempt to show you it as true to colour as I possibly can, because I'm very aware that this palette in particular looks very, very different depending on what pictures you're looking at and the lighting people have used to photograph or film this. Looking at the monitor here, I think that's pretty accurate, I would say so. In some footage I've seen, it's actually looked almost warm and vibrant, and it's definitely a more muted, cool toned palette. I have primed my lids with my Be Perfect priming eyeshadow base. That's this one. And I think I'm gonna split it, do like a one look with the top and one look with the bottom. I don't know if that might mean that this will be like a really super light look, but I don't mind that. I think it could be quite good to do one lighter look and one deeper look. So let's try that. And I treated myself, this is finding an excuse to treat myself, but I did get the lens brushes from Glisten Cosmetics because they had a sale on. It was 35% off, and I just wanted new brushes so I didn't have to, I mean, obviously you still need to wash your brushes, but with this set it just gives me a bit more wiggle room, and I just wanted some new brushes, to be honest. I just wanted new brushes. Shall I zoom in a little bit before I go any further actually? Nice. I'm going to start with Intimate. That's like the true blush pink in the palette, and this is the L06 from the Lens brush collection, and I shall try not to cover up my entire face with the palette. Yeah, so that's very pink. Let's get a nice wash in the crease there. It reminds me of a bigger Zoeva 227 or Refer number 1. Just does the job faster because it's bigger. Now to deepen things up a little bit. Now if we're sticking to the top, that's going to have to be sultry, isn't it? I don't know if I want to, do I want to put in a bit of flushed first? Let's just see. So flushed is a little bit deeper. It's right next to intimate. I don't know that I'd say it's, but maybe it's not quite deeper. It is and it isn't. I don't know how to explain it. You see, I don't know if that's coming off deeper. I think it's too much on a similar level. So let's almost pretend I didn't do that. And I'm going to pick up, this is the LO3, which I think could be a quite nice brush for this. I'm going to go into sultry and see what kind of depth this can bring, if any. It's definitely deeper, but I'm just wondering from on my skin tone, I don't know that it's enough of a deepening shade. Might have to venture onto the other side into something like ashes. I think ashes would work. Should we try a bit of ashes? Yeah, I'll have to try a bit of ashes in that corner there. I think ashes is better. I do kind of wish I'd just kept it on the outer corner though, like the grey tones, and this was all still pink. I wonder if I can just... You can still see it, yeah, but it's a bit better. And a lot of this is going to get covered up with a shimmer anyway. Speaking of shimmers, I clearly want to use the shade Embers. I should say, so it's 20 shades in total in here, 8 of which are shimmers, and 2 of those 8 are what I would call sort of special, so multi/duochromes. I might have to have a mini swatch party actually, but I am going to stick to the ones in the top half. Allure Charmed Embers. Swoon I'll keep for an inner corner. Maybe Allure and Embers. I don't want anything to detract really from Embers though. Allure and Embers. And just because I'm curious, I'm not going to put down a glitter glue today, just because I want to see. Like, I'm not after longevity right now. I just want to demonstrate the shades for you, and I just want to see what it looks like without a NYX glitter primer. I mean, that's pretty impactful without a NYX primer. So I think we can only imagine what that would look like with. Okay, and then I think I said Allure towards the inside. I don't know if that's light enough, but we're doing that anyway. Okay, yes, it is light enough. I wasn't sure. I don't have a brush like this in the Lin's collection, so I'm picking up a nice flat brush, and this is just like a random Lamora one that I've got, and I normally use that to tidy things up a little bit. I might leave this eye for the time being, and then we'll finish both eyes when I've got my concealer on. That's going to be the airy side, like the super light airy side, and then on this side let's just go Smoke Fest. Again, mainly because I want to see how it looks. I'm going to start, I am going to go back to my refers, so refer number 1 here. I'm going to start with Spontaneous because I want to see what that looks like. It's like a greeny blue based grey. Yeah, it's a nice pigment there. That's gone on deeper than I thought it would actually. And then, do I try Sensual to see how much deeper that appears? Let's try Sensual. Underneath. Yep, definitely deeper. I wouldn't strictly stick to one half or the other when I'm doing a look, but I just wanted to see what looks you could do if you did do that. I normally try to avoid watching other people's reviews on stuff when I know I'm going to buy the palette either at launch or soon after launch. So I did buy this at launch, but it's just taking me a long time to get around to filming. But I've noticed a few people have commented on the shade Chemistry, which I'm about to use next, so I'm forewarned that I should be careful with Chemistry, which is the black in the shade. And even swatching it, I mean, I think I'd have picked up on that as well. It's a different matte formula to the rest of them. It's very soft, which means it's very pigmented. So when I do pick that up, I know to be very careful with it. And let's pick that up now. I perhaps don't have to be as careful because I am doing a dark smoky look, so it's more if you're going to be using this black to deepen things up, that's when you would have to probably be super careful with it. But I'm doing a smoky eye. That's really pigmented. I hope you can see that. That's very, yeah, straight away. That's you don't need a lot at all. So yeah, if you are using, like if I'd used it on this side to deepen things up, I'd have had to have been very careful because it would have very, very quickly overtaken things over there. But because this is a, I don't know if you see that. Be very careful with this black. You probably only need like a dot if you're deepening with this, just a little dot. And you'd work, build up slowly, tiny dot, build up slowly. And I think this is going to be a really good smoky base for a shade like Ignite. Let me see what I'm going to pair it with. Smoulder Magnetism Ignite Perfect Match. Ignite is, it's weird, it's blue in the pan, but on my arm here I see green, gold, pink, silver. I hope this is showing some of those colours I've just said to you. Let's put some Ignite on, and maybe when Ignite is on my lid I can decide what else I want to put on there with it. Ignite is pretty cool. It's always, sometimes I get, it's one of those, it's when you turn your head, isn't it? But I'm putting this on most of my lid because I clearly want it to be the star of the show. In fact, I don't know if I just put that on my lid and just put something like Perfect Match as an inner corner, but bring it in a bit more. Because I think Ignite just needs to be on its own, really. Perfect Match on the inside. Right, let me go and put some concealer on so that we can finish both eyes off. So I have a 230, and I might try Flushed. I wonder if I should just, let's try Intimate. Intimate's quite light, but because it's not necessarily about, something deep, it's what's going to actually show up on my skin tone. That's intimate, but I might think it was, so I put a bit of sultry just to get it to tie in. So that's a bit of a mishmash of intimate and sultry there. And then for the inner corner, I was going to use Swoon. So let's put Swoon on. And this is my Zoeva 237. Swoon's quite chunky actually. So this might be one just to get it a bit smoother that you'd wet your brush with. For the deeper eye, 230 again. Maybe Ashes. I don't know that I want to go too dark, so let's try Ashes, and then I can always add a bit of chemistry. Does the Lovers have a shade called Chemistry? I feel like I cracked a terrible joke while I was using the Lovers. Yeah, I do think Ashes is deep enough. I don't think I need Chemistry. I don't want a tiny bit. I've just dotted it. Okay, and I'll get my little finger into perfect match. Okay, let's tidy that up. Perfect match doesn't pick up very well on a brush. Let me find my silicone applicators. That's better, but finger definitely worked the best in this scenario. Finger, silicone applicator, brush. Perfect match doesn't like a brush at all. I might just dampen that a little bit to see if I can. So this is in my 237, my inner corner highlight brush, but I just want to see if I can use that to pick up a bit more perfect match. Yeah, see, that picked it up, just so I can get it. Yeah, that seems to be working. So wet brush. That's better. Okay, I'm gonna finish off my face and then I'll come back with some initial thoughts. Here are both eyes complete with liner and mascara, and that's the light side and the dark side. Like if I was into Star Wars, I'd make a Star Wars reference, but I'm not. I'm racking. No, the reference is not coming to me. But yeah, the light side and the dark side. Do you have a favourite? Do you have a favourite? Do you know what? I've been trying to do a lighter side v a darker side, or a neutral side v a colourful side. And once I'm finished, I'm surprised at which eye I prefer. Like, I quite like this light side. I think I'd want to polish it a bit more. I don't know if the execution is 100%, but there's something about this eye that I really like. But I do still like that one, and I think that's because of Ignite, I think. Right, let me zoom you out. I'll show you how I finished off the rest of my face. What have I used? So my Fenty concealer, which is here. Like, I'm gonna have to repurchase that soon, I think, because I'm going through that at a rapid pace. Nothing new there. For blush, I've used my Curve case, and I've dipped into Cherry Cola and Cowlick, which is a combination that I like to use a lot. And then I have topped that with Pretty Privilege from Trigwell Cosmetics. And for the highlighter, I've gone in with the Avatar Last Airbender one, which, if I can get it open, it looks white in the pan, but it's pink on the cheek. The pink one, I really like this highlighter. I need to remember to dig out more. Glow Revolution Splendor bronzer. And on my lips, I can't find 89 Fine. Like, I've got my backup, but I don't really want to get my backup out because it's around somewhere. It's probably in a bag that I've used recently, but I can't think where it is. So I would have lined my lips because it just would have made it a bit neater, but I've gone in with Salem. No, that's not Salem. I've gone in with Nancy from Cosmic Brushes. I thought, if I'm using a Cosmic Brushes palette, let's use a Cosmic Brushes lippy. I think those are the main things I've used to finish off my face. And I think before I go into my thoughts, I am going to show you those comparisons that I did. And then once you've seen the comparisons, we'll come back and then we'll do final thoughts. Or first impressions, because it's not final thoughts yet. It's the first time I'm using the palette. But anyway, comparisons. Kicking off with some comparisons with Nearly Natural from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. That's Nearly Natural on this side and Cosmic is on the other side. Apologies, the swatches are a bit uneven, but I'm hoping that you get the idea. So from top to bottom, we have Naked Eye next to Swoon, New Nude next to Charmed. I've swatched Smoulder and Smoulder next to each other for no other reason than they have the same name, because they're clearly not dupes of each other. Then we've got Solace and Kindle, Barely There next to Slow Burn, and Untouched next to Flushed. It is now the turn of Smoulder v Smoky, and this is the 42 pan from Beauty Bay. We've got Cosmic on this side and Beauty Bay on the other side. So from top to bottom, we've got Swoon next to Frost, Sultry, and I've swatched that next to Graphite and Wolf, Smoulder, and that's next to Dreams and Sword. Then I've got Ashes next to Onyx, Sensual next to Highway, Spontaneous next to Magnet, and Perfect Match next to Starfall. Again, apologies, they're not the best swatches in the world, but I'm hoping that it gives you a good comparison of those shades. What I will say is, when you look at Smoulder, I think you can almost see, just from eyeballing it, that the latter half, like the bottom half of Smoulder, that's what's got more in common with Smoky. I'm about to do Neutral next, and I have a sneaky suspicion that that's going to have more dupes in the top half of Smoulder. Last set of comparisons, and apologies because in hindsight I think I did Glaminatrix the other way around, but Smoky and Neutral, I've got Cosmic on this side and then Beauty Bay on this side. So this is Smoulder v Neutral. And I'll start again from the top to bottom. I've got Shy next to Bone, Intimate next to Paw and then Mauve, Flushed next to Tender, Kindle next to Dusk and Petal, Allure next to Rose, Slow Burn next to Slip, Sultry next to Heather, Flirty next to Suede, and Magnetism next to... Oh no, I didn't do Magnetism next to Mirror because they actually weren't close at all. Not at all. And yeah, sorry they get a bit wonky. But again, I hope that demonstrates it. And as I suspected, the top half of Smoulder has more dupes in neutral. Okay, Smoulder. Here we have it. I do think this kind of colour story was missing from the Cosmic lineup, and I think for a lot of people this is their Cooltrals. This should have been what Cooltrals is. Not that I don't, I mean I love Cooltrals, I love blues, I love purples, and I get it, but I think a lot of people would have looked at Cooltrals and thought, and were expecting Smoulder. I think I mentioned it when I was doing the comparisons that when it comes to the Beauty Bay side, like this is more the neutral palette, and then this is more the smoky palette. There's a little bit of crossover, a little bit, but that's generally it. And obviously if you want to combine smoky and neutral, and you're travelling, for example, you're not going to take two 42 pan palettes with you. This is obviously way more convenient. Something else I noticed is these all seem to have, well not all, because you know, not the pink for example, but a lot of the deeper mattes, this is very washed out, a lot of the deeper mattes have like this bluey green undertone to them, which makes them somewhat unique. So I think with something like Smoky, for example, that's more blue leaning, like more bluey grey, and this is more greeny grey. So when I was sort of trying to find the comparisons, I was finding that I couldn't find matches in Smoky, for example, because these have got a very green hue to them, a green undertone. I think I said it when I did the swatches, I did find these smoother. These were definitely smoother than, say, the formula in Undergrowth. Like I remember Undergrowth, for example, being really, really dry. I don't know if they've changed the formula or anything like that, or I don't know, maybe sometimes it's the pigments themselves. Sometimes they can have an impact on how shades perform, but definitely not as dry. That Chemistry one, it's like I didn't even bother swatching the blacks because I just thought that was kind of pointless, but this is definitely more pigmented than the other blacks in all the palettes. I don't know about Glaminatrix, to be fair, because I didn't swatch the Glaminatrix shade, but I did swatch the two Beauty Bay ones, and this is next level. It's like a black hole. I mean, not that the Smoulder packaging is like a true black, but even when you look at this black in comparison to the packaging, that's black. Yeah, I think I've said it before, and I don't know which video it was now, but there's a time and a place for a pigmented black like this one, and I think it works in here, but there's also a time and a place for a black where you build up slowly, and it also depends on your skill level. I think the better you are at blending, the easier you will find it to work with those super pigmented blacks. As someone who doesn't even like pink that much, I kind of wish there were a few more pinkier tones. I'm going to switch that off again. So I like that this is there, and I guess maybe Flushed is quite pink. But I wonder if... So Kindle, for example, has got a pink hue, but I wish it was a little bit deeper. Like I feel like this is missing maybe one darker pink. Just one. And what would I switch it out with? Like, I just don't know if I would put Kindle and Slow Burn and Shy and Flirty. They do work, but I don't know, I just feel like it's just missing one more pinky shade. Darker. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like there's one shade that's just missing from here, and I feel like it should go like here. Maybe that's what it is, like Kindle needs to be deeper or something. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Like, that's the only thing. I just feel like it's missing one shade. If you're a Cosmic fan and you're a Cosmic collector, there's definitely a place for this. This was definitely missing. This is what this fits with Cooltrals and Neutrals. It does. Keeping in mind the similarities that this does have with Neutral and Smoky, and indeed Nearly Natural from Glaminatrix, do I regret picking this up? No, no. Like, if there's any cosmic palette I regret picking up, it's going to be the Lovers. This one is not one I regret because it's different enough. Whereas the Lovers, I don't know if that is from other stuff that I own. And I think it's got to be the shades like Embers and Ignite, really, that do make the palette worth it. When I'm looking at this eye, I think if there was a deeper pink involved, that would elevate this look. I think that's what I'm thinking of. When I look at this eye, I just think if there was another deeper pink involved, this would be prettier. But then then at the same time, when I look at this, I think to myself, but does a deep pink belong? I don't know. You let me know what you think. I'm not being very articulate today. Maybe it's because I haven't had any coffee. That was a rookie error. I should have made sure I had some coffee before I started filming. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think I'm in a constant state of being exhausted at the moment. But I think this is a nice addition to the Cosmic range. I really do. There was a space for it. It's filled a nice little gap. And the price point of Cosmic, I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they managed to keep their prices so low considering the quality in there. There was nothing I had an issue with blending. I mean, I obviously still need to use more of the shades, but they're pigmented, they all show up on my skin tone. Should you pick it up? I don't know, that's subjective. What I will say is, if you do like the Cosmic formula and you are missing this kind of colour story, then yes, it probably would be picking up. If you've got cool tones coming out of your ears, quite possibly not. Quite possibly not. I'm going to leave it there because my stomach is growling at me, so I need coffee and food. So I'm going to go and do that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I'm off my game. I feel like I'm off my game. I just, yeah, I'm not. I don't feel as though I'm on top form, and for that I do apologise. But if you have made it this far, then I thank you for sticking with it and persevering. If nothing else, I hope that the comparisons have been useful. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you again in a video in a not too distant future. Take care. Bye. Just a quick check-in here, because I do have some creasing. See, I feel like I've been experiencing a lot of creasing lately, and I'm starting to wonder if it's just my eyelids now, because what was the palette that I didn't get any creasing? I didn't get any creasing with CXC Beauty, none whatsoever, and then I only got a little bit of creasing with Electrum Cosmetics towards the end of the day. So maybe it's not, or maybe it's a combination of my lids and something else, because I can see creasing there. I hope you can see that. Should I get in even closer? Which just means me coming even closer to the lens. So I hope you can see that. Right there, there is some creasing, because you can see where it's gapping. And then on this eye, not so bad, but then again, this is my single fold lid. But I just thought I'd come back and show you that. And how many hours, I mean, it hasn't been that long. I think I finished filming this around 10 AM and it's now 4. But this started forming before. Like, I did notice that. I've just finished filming new releases, and I did see it beforehand, but I thought, let me not get sidetracked doing a check-in now before I film new releases. Let's do that first and then I'll come back. I didn't use any NYX glitter primer though, so when I come back, and maybe I'll do another look sooner rather than later, or maybe I'll just do an update on Instagram, I will use a NYX glitter primer and I'll let you know how the creasing is there.